Welcome to Gaia's Love, a podcast to guide you home into your human journey here on Earth. My name is Vivienne Gerard, and it is my delight to co-create with Gaia and share our messages from Source in this now moment. Here we go. Episode 459. It is Wednesday here in Cincinnati. The sun is shining. It is absolutely beautiful. Cold, but beautiful. And we are in 2024. So happy New Year. This is the first episode for this whole brand new calendar year that is wide open in front of us. And the title appropriately is Beginning Again. I sent an email out to my online community yesterday, which if you're not a part of that, this might be a nudge as we begin the year to connect with me. You can do it through my website. You just sign up, and as I have updates and news, you can get them there. But in the title of Beginning Again, I was reflecting on just the cycles that we go through in our lives and how we often come to completions and endings, and then there's another beginning. And sometimes that's exhausting. Especially when we align it with a calendar year. It's like there's so much that's ended. There's so much that's completed. And we have to begin again. Like, where does the energy come from for that? Where is the motivation? If we have relationships that have ended, or we're in a shift with our health, with our jobs, with moving, there's sometimes just an exhaustion. And knowing that we have to begin again, we just don't even know if we can, or how we're going to do it, or where the energy will be drawn from that can sustain us into that next beginning. And so my energetic transmission for today, for this time that we're going to spend in this podcast, is strength and hope and examples, many stories, illustrations that will give you some inspiration so that you can feel like there's so many others that are doing it with you. There are so many others who are pulling from their reserves in order to continue moving forward. And sometimes we just need to remember that so that we don't feel as alone or isolated, or like everybody's got their stuff figured out and we're the only one who doesn't. Not true. Absolutely not true. We're all just on different timings. And I think that's the beauty of the internet, the beauty of community, the beauty of friendships, is that when one of us is in that phase that feels lonely or feels exhausted, maybe we use words like needy when it's us that have that experience. We're like, I'm so needy, we label ourselves with all of these words. We're just in a moment of the journey that's more intense or more challenging. And so when we have resources around us, these types of podcasts, friends, community, that can say, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not in that same moment that you're in, and so I can be strong to help you find your strength. I can be clear, kind, compassionate to help you remember that you are that also. I can be laser focused and moving with a lot of momentum and I already said that, alignment and energy. And it's okay if you don't right now. And so we're constantly able to calibrate ourselves to what we desire next, or how we can find our way through the ending into the beginning. We're able to do that when we have community and people around us that are strong and steady and able to reflect back to us that it's just a moment, it's just a period, it's just a season, it's going to pass. And when it does, you're stronger, you're more inspired, you have more hope, you have more focus. And then there will be a time where others lean on you, and so you'll be able to offer that back to them. So that is how we are beginning this new year and this new season of the podcast. It feels significant because, as you know, if you're familiar with my podcast space, as you know, Pluto is getting closer and closer to Aquarius. I was reading in an article yesterday, Pluto and the Sun both enter Aquarius on the same day. Like, the image I see is like the king and the queen, arm in arm, walking into this beautiful big arena. And everyone starts clapping and cheering, like, what happened? What is going on? Like Beyonce and her husband. There's just this ta-da as the arrival happens astrologically. That doesn't take anything away from what Pluto has done in Capricorn. I believe when Pluto entered Capricorn, it was also with a very big ta-da, here I am, are you ready for me? It's just this time the Sun and Pluto are deciding to do it together. And I think, and maybe that always happens, I don't know astrology enough to give you that kind of level of detail, but it feels very significant. The Sun to me represents source, illumination, the light that grows and nourishes everything, the origin of creation. And so the fact that Pluto is having that escort into Aquarius feels very significant for humanity, very significant for what is happening here in Gaia, on Earth. There is a movement that is going to be beginning. And I can't define it for you. I can keep naming what I feel in each micro moment, and we'll just learn and discover together. But it's going to revolutionize consciousness. It's going to revolutionize the experience of being a human on this planet. And I believe we're ready for that. I believe we are co-creating that. As a human species, we are co-creating that with astrology, with Gaia, with Source. And so we have a lot of power to influence how this next iteration of a human becomes, how much we involve AI technology, how much we respect science while also, some of science needs to be influenced and moderated by philosophy, by energy, by astrology, by the ethereal, the infinite. There is a lot of magic in science that scientists refuse to acknowledge. When I was doing some research about Pluto, I can't remember when it was, one of the last cycles where Pluto entered Aquarius, it was either the last one or the one before, scientists discovered Uranus. What? Uranus had always been there. It had never not existed. But scientists discovered it. And so it was this revolutionary thing. And I feel like that irreverence for what we believe we know, which would be science. Science to me is the study of what we've learned, and so then we know it, and so now it's fact. Kind of like history. I think there's an irreverence that needs to be brought in, a curiosity, wonder, like what don't we know? What don't we understand yet? What hasn't been revealed to us? And how do we weave that into the human experience? How do we redefine science, technology, community, individual expression? How do we redefine all of that from a sense of we don't know everything? So for me to tell you what I think it's going to become, I don't know everything. It would be absolutely misleading of me to tell you what the next 20 years will look like. But I can tell you it feels expansive. It feels like a time of building something that has never existed in the way we're going to experience it and build it together. So when I name this first podcast of 2024 Beginning Again, it's because it's not just a cycle of a calendar year that's beginning again. It's astrology, it's humanity, it's the evolution of consciousness on our planet. We are beginning again. And we don't know yet what we don't know, but it's a very exciting time. As we move through these next 3 weeks with Pluto and Capricorn, and then begin moving into Pluto and Aquarius, we're it's like we're crossing the threshold. So, you know, when you're driving in a car and you're traveling between states, or if you're, you know, in different countries, you're traveling between countries, and you cross the line from one boundary to another boundary. There's absolutely a moment where there's a line drawn and this is the thing, and you've crossed the line. So January 20th is that date where Pluto moves from Capricorn into Aquarius. But there's the whole highway that gets you to the edge of the state line, and then the whole highway that gets you into the state that you're still traveling. And the cities might be miles apart. The experiences that you're traveling to and from are so far apart. But there's the one moment where you cross the threshold. It's the same thing for the calendar year. We cross the date on December 31st at midnight. But there's all the stuff that happens the week or two before, the month or two before, and there's all the stuff that happens at the beginning of the next year to usher you into the next year. It's a process. It's an experience, a transition. We're moving across a threshold, and there's who we've been and who we're becoming. It's not like, boom, this is the one thing, and now it's over and it's done and we're in it. It's like morphing. It's shifting. And so right now we're still in the last tail end of Pluto and Capricorn. Capricorn is about structure. What structures are you putting in place right now? How are you building your reality so that as you move into Aquarius and all of these things start to happen with Pluto, your structure is solid? Are your bills set up? Is your health in a good position? Do you have routines in place that are going to support you as consciousness starts to become more of a priority? So is your body well resourced? Are you eating well? Are you exercising, moving your body? Like, what are the things that you are doing? So you have a solid foundation upon which all of this next evolution can start to happen. Because when consciousness hits us, it's like lightning hitting our awareness. It's like, boom, did you know this thing? Boom, did you remember this? Boom, this is what's true in relationship. Are you in integrity with all of that? Our world is like, wah! What? Like the ripples, it's like an earthquake. It's like the earthquake hits and then buildings collapse, things happen. That's what Pluto does. Is what Pluto did in Capricorn. It came in, it was like, and all the housing market, and it's destructive, and it's intense, and it's filled with potential for fear if we're going to move through it with fear. It's filled with the potential for drama and devastation and suffering. And yes, all of those will be very real experiences, I'm sure, for many people, because transformation is not meant to be peaceful. Transformation can be violent. It can be aggressive. It can be messy. It can take you all the way down to the ground in order to rebuild you into what you truly came here to become. Pluto in Aquarius is going to tap us into the soul, the infinite, the creative expression that is consciousness expressed in the human form. This is my business, my work, infinite embodiment. The all-encompassing everything in the finite human experience, in Gaia, choosing Earth. And all of that is going to be revolutionized. The human experience is going to become something very different. We can sit in a place of powerlessness and victimhood and go, it's happening, there's nothing, what do we do? Or we step up and we co-create. We have the fear, and then we're like Simba, like, ha, I laugh in the face of danger. we find the irreverence, we get curious again, we start to have wonder at the magic of this realm, and we go, how is it even possible that my soul knew this would be the time to be a human? That I could be part of co-creating what the next human experience is? Are you serious? I knew that as a soul. I chose that? Yeah, well, you're here for it, so clearly you chose that. If you hadn't chosen it, you wouldn't be here. You would be somewhere else in the universe doing something different. And I think this is, I'm going to turn my timer off. I'm getting better at this. 15 minutes is sort of my very loose goal. One of the things that feels important to name in Pluto conversations is this idea of death and rebirth. For a long time, I was very afraid of death. I was afraid of myself dying. I was afraid of other people around me dying. I was afraid of anyone I saw ever dying. Like, death was a thing to be feared. And what I've realized in years of energy work, me with my clients, me in my own work, plant medicine work, meditation, connecting with my guides, like all the work that I do, death is a portal into something else. In so many energy sessions, when I've worked with clients and they've had past life trauma, witches in particular, there's this deep fear of death because the death in the past life that was experienced was so violent. Either the woman that I worked with would say, it was my fault. I caused the suffering of the whole community and they all died to make a point to me. And so it's my responsibility that they died. Or I was the one crucified. I was the one that was held up as punishment and I suffered because it was a message to those around me. That trauma stays. It carries into the next experience. And what we were able to do, and this is something I'm sure many, many people are working on in healing right now, is that soul moved on. That soul went to another experience. Because they're sitting here now in an energy session with me telling me the story. They're not back in that old life anymore. They left that. But because the way they left was so traumatic, the suffering, the fear, the experience of death being bad came with them. And so now they get to clear that. So there's a collective fear of death because we don't know what it's going to be next. We don't know what the next portal experience is going to be. And so we carry that from lifetime to lifetime, those of us who come back and reincarnate again and again on this planet. But it's also a collective belief because so many people reincarnate on this planet, so many souls come back. What I found is it's a story. We live a story. I'm living the story right now as Vivienne. And there will be a day where it ends and I take my last breath and soul evolves and moves into some other experience and the story of Vivienne is complete. I could spend my life being afraid of that moment and not wanting to ever get there. Or I can live this life, live it and do it and be the fullest expression of myself and create and like soak it all up. And know when it's time, it's because my soul says it's time. It's time to go now. There's some other thing that we're going to do. And that story will stay. What is the legacy I want to leave behind from that story, from that lifetime? Is it one of holding back and being afraid and staying small? No. No. So beginning again. We have this opportunity, a new calendar year to begin again. We have this new opportunity of Pluto moving into Aquarius to begin again. It's a new cycle. It's a new frequency that's starting. What do you want to transform in your life? How do you want to step into the next expression of yourself? Pluto in Aquarius is going to be very much about community. Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are the people that you're exchanging energy with? And how do they make you better and you make them better? And can you not attach? Can you not attach to it has to be this one, or it has to be this group, or it has to be this thing? Can you allow energy to ebb and flow because you're moving, you're transforming so quickly? And so people are coming in and moving through your life and you're all blessing each other and expanding each other and enriching each other and then becoming more and then going and spreading that energy into other places. It's such an exciting time. And if we can tap into that and allow the fear to move out, what is possible? What is possible? All right, I went over my 15 minutes, but we're getting better. I am going to be sharing with you some more information about the practicum because building community is my main focus for this year. I'm going to be doing it online through this podcast, online through my Instagram account, infinite.embodiment.in.gaia, which is like the coolest place. It's small, it's growing. You get to be in there with me right at the beginning. And it's going to be amazing. And then the practicum is my us. We're sitting in a Zoom chat together in a group, and we're sharing our lives. And you can go as deep into that as you want to go, for different exchanges of time and money and attention. But it's going to be a way of bringing our magic together and learning and growing as a community, and then taking that magic into other places. It's very, very exciting. It's very exciting. All of it is. So as we start this year, my blessing, my wish, my prayer for all of us is that we remember not to be afraid of death, that we live this life like the biggest, best, boldest way that we can. And that we allow ourselves, when we're in the experiences, to be all the way in them, to know that we have people around us who'll walk with us. And then when we're flying high and feeling good, we're loving the ones around us who aren't, and walking together with big open hearts. That is my prayer, my blessing for all of us. So, Happy New Year. So excited to begin. I will see you here next week. Thank you for tuning into this vibration of pure love. Let's take this message of Gaia's love out into all of our relationships and communities today. So much love from my heart to yours.